Hello out there, we're on the air. It's Monday Night Nerd. Welcome one and all to this amazing Monday, April 24th in the year 2023. Thank you everybody for joining us LIVE live. It's been a good weekend. It was a good weekend. I had an extra day off today, so I'm feeling extra good today. I'm excited. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is volunteering at conventions. I have been volunteering at conventions for several years. You know what? Let's start this off. Welcome, one and all. My name's Myers Corp Creations. If you don't know me, I have been cosplaying for over a decade. I have been a nerd since birth. I have been volunteering for conventions for almost 5-6 years. And I have so many things to talk about, and I'm so glad you're here. If you know what's going on, we're going to be talking about my volunteering days. We're going to be talking about some of the cool celebrities. We're going to be even talking about some of the jerk celebrities. I'm going to be telling you some stories about some of the fun times we've had and so many other things. But first, we kick things off with some news. And speaking of celebrities, we're going to do a little bit of TMZ dishing right now because this top story is about a celebrity that was supposed to be, well, is still technically going to be at the Nickel City Comic Con in Buffalo, New York. For those who don't know, the owners of Hamilton Comic Con and Niagara Falls Comic Con recently purchased Nickel City. I think this year is their first year, and they've got a star-studded lineup, with one of the headliners being skateboarding superstar, jackass superstar Bam Margera. However, after today, that might change because it was reported today that there is a police warrant out for Bam Margera in the state of Pennsylvania due to a confrontation. Report says that the Pennsylvania State Police issued a warrant for Brandon Bam Margera yesterday morning, Sunday, April 23rd at 11 a.m. Due to a reported disturbance. The investigation determined Bam Margera, age 43, of Thornton, Pennsylvania, was involved in a physical confrontation with a victim who suffered minor injuries. Margera fled into a wooded area prior to the arrival of the police and has not been located at this time. So as of right now, and I checked just before we got on the air, he is on the run. And that does not look good if you're going to be headlining a convention. If you know anything about Bam and the recent Jackass movie, there has been some issues. Bam has pretty publicly gone through a lot of depression since his friend and former Jackass co-star Sam Dunn passed away several years ago, and he has had a rough time since. I know Steve-O has brought him out on tour with him a couple times. I've heard reports that has not gone well, and Bam is no longer with Steve-O on the tour. So, I hope the guy gets better. If I was a betting man, and I'm not, I still would not put money down on Bam attending Buffalo, whether he is going to be pulled from the event or something's going to happen where he's not going to be able to make it. That would be my suspicion, unfortunately, and that's a bummer because I know a lot of people that are big Bam Margera fans from his skateboarding days, not even just the Jackass fame. But it sucks when you see somebody who you may have grown up with as a childhood idol go through something like this. So I hope he gets the help he deserves, and I hope he gets better, because that's I think he's one that a lot of people sadly have sort of, I don't want to say preconditioned themselves to get that news of he's no longer with us, which is never good. So hopefully he turns it around. Hopefully he gets his life back in order, but it's sad to see him as of right now on the run from the law. So, but I'm going to just drop this camera a little bit. It's a little high for me. There we go. You prep all this stuff beforehand, and then you just flick something and all goes to crap. Because we're going to be talking about volunteering tonight, we're going to be talking about conventions a lot, and I'm going to bring up some new celebrity announcements for local conventions coming up. We are getting into convention season. I will be volunteering along with my amazingly beautiful wife at Anime North this year. I am not a big anime fan, but I am a big fan of that convention. It is volunteer run. Any profit that is made from that convention goes to Toronto Sick Kids. It is a heck of an event. As I said, I'm not even an anime fan, and it's a fun time. It's 3 days in Toronto by the airport, and it's a blast every time. But the big one, Fan Expo, is coming up. Actually, you know what? Let's do Niagara Falls first. Niagara Falls is coming up fast. It's coming up in June. We've got a whole bunch of cool guests coming in. We've got Giancarlo Esposito from The Mandalorian and from one of my recently played games, Far Cry 6. Billy Zane is going to be there, who I can't wait to meet Billy Zane because I've been a fan of his since, man, what was the last movie I saw him in? Tales from the Crypt was one of my favorite roles that he's done. He's so over the top in that one. Doug Bradley from Hellraiser is going to be there. Jesse the Body Ventura is going to be there. Bret Hart, Trish Stratus. It is going to be a huge convention. The guys who run that in Hamilton, every year, it just doesn't seem like that con can get any bigger, and it just gets bigger. And it's going to be a heck of a weekend come June. And the big daddy of them all, Fan Expo this year. Get ready, folks. Chevy Chase is going to be in the house in the Metro Toronto Convention Center late August. I've heard, I think a lot of us have heard, if you're a community fan, or if you're a fan of Chevy Chase, you've heard some rough things about him and the way he sort of presents himself. And I hope it's not true. I've heard similar things about other celebrities. I've famously, when I first started working conventions, I heard a lot of rough stories about wow, I'm completely drawing a blank. William Shatner, that was the name I'm looking for. I heard a lot of bad things about William Shatner. I met him. He was a great guy. He was a stand-up guy to me. Didn't have a bad interaction with him. So maybe Chevy Chase will be good. I am going to try my best to meet him because I am a big Christmas Vacation fan. My wife is a big Christmas Vacation fan. My mom is a big Christmas Vacation fan. I've even got, I should have brought it over. My wife and I were gifted this Christmas from my mom the Chicago Blackhawks jersey with Griswold across the back, as Chevy Chase wears in Christmas Vacation. And it's going to be cool to meet him, to just say, I met an amazing SNL star and an amazing actor. But also, Sam freaking Raimi's going to be there. Sam Raimi from Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Evil Dead. I mean, it's crazy to think that, same with Niagara Falls, every single year, I don't think they can get bigger. There was a time in probably let's say 2010, 2011, 12, around that era, that Fan Expo, you had a lot of repeat guests. You never had those major stars. You had, I always make the joke of, if you never met Lou Ferrigno, you haven't gone to a convention, because Lou Ferrigno, for a certain length of time, was at every convention. You met more people who hadn't, you met less people who hadn't met Lou Ferrigno than had met Lou Ferrigno. But Expo and Niagara Falls every year is pulling these rabbits out of their hats that, I'm waiting for 1 year for them just to announce the whole Avengers cast is going to be there, because they're just pulling these guys left, right, and center. And we still have a couple months for them to come up with some more people to announce. So Fan Expo is going to be huge. Niagara Falls Comic-Con is going to be huge. I can't wait to I'm going to volunteer at Niagara, and I will be attending Fan Expo. And later this week, I'm going to be telling everybody about my new cosplay that I will be debuting at Fan Expo. So check out my social media. And if not, you're going to miss out. You're going to have to see me at the convention. I will hopefully see you all there. Now we're going to go into a little bit of a rant. All right. I'm going to take a swig from my Green Lantern water bottle, because I got a bone to pick. I wasn't planning on doing this, but by gum, I think it needs to be said. So for those who know me, I'm a cosplayer, and I've been cosplaying for over a decade. Started out just like every other cosplayer, very basic tools, materials, whatever I could find. And then just before the pandemic hit, I was walking into my local Michael's, and when I walked in, they had a cosplay section, and my jaw hit the floor. This cosplay section was a 12-foot section, and they had EVA foam. They had foam dowels. They had Warbler. And for people who don't know what Warbler is a thermoplastic that you heat that is solid. And when you heat it up with a heat gun, it molds and you can wrap it around things. It's very good for armor. They had amazing FX paint. They had barge cement, which you can't normally get up here unless you go to some specific place. Canada and Home Depot and Canadian Tire have their own brand, but the barge stuff is even better. They had everything that a foamsmith cosplayer could want. And I was super excited because I'm thinking, this is the first time in my life I have all these supplies ready and just at my fingertips. And I bought everything. I bought EVA foam. I bought Warbler. I spent so much when that first came out. I want to remind you that this was the beginning of 2020. 2 months later, the pandemic hit and everything shut down, which hurt. But I went, okay, this is all right, because now Michael's has all the stuff I want, and I have all the free time in the world at that moment because I had actually been laid off for a few months. So I can get all these supplies, I can build my best cosplay, and I can debut it at Fan Expo. And that Fan Expo didn't happen. So I went, okay, I'll wait until the next year. And I kept building and building and building. And the next one happened, and it was good. All right. And then in 2023, I noticed something. And that was that Michael's put a couple items on clearance. And I went, that's weird. It's only been out for this line's only been out for 3 years. Why are they putting this stuff on clearance? But I went, okay, maybe it's just this one store. Maybe it's just one store. The store's not selling it. I'm going to buy what I can. So I bought I believe it was the paint. The paint was the first thing. And I went, okay, that's fair. There's paint everywhere. You can get paint left, right, and center. This is special paint for cosplayers, and you can use any paint. Maybe this just isn't selling. So I bought all the paint I could. And then the foam dowels went on clearance. And I went, okay. Those are very niche. Like, you can use foam dowels for many little, accent pieces, but it's nothing major. So I could see them bringing that out and not selling it. Makes sense. And then the EVA foam went on clearance. And I went, wait, whoa. What's going on here? And I actually talked to one of the managers, and they said, these items and this line haven't sold well enough since 2020. It's been out for 3 years. They haven't made their money back, so they're canceling the line. And I went, wait a minute. You guys brought in a line of products that, I'm not saying everybody cosplays and everybody builds costumes, but the people that do use these materials on a regular basis. And now you're going to take them and take them away. And the only time they were available was pretty much during a pandemic when most people weren't building. And if they weren't able to show it off. And the guy said, yep, the heads at Michael's said it just wasn't selling. And I went, this is so stupid. Because these products will sell well. You just need the environment to be available for people to use them. And I just slowly got more and more depressed because every single time I went into Michael's, another product on the cosplay line was being put on clearance and they weren't stocking it anymore. And today was the final straw. The entire cosplay line has gone. It's been gone for about a year. And I've been frustrated about that, but I went, nope, there's still one product. There's one product that they always had in stock because it wasn't in the cosplay line, but it's used very much in cosplay, and that was Plastidip. Plastidip is it's used originally on rims of tires, car rims. And what they would do is it's a rubber coating in a spray can, and it basically puts a rubber coating on everything, and it's good for foam. And I use that to seal my foam and make a nice smooth surface. Couple layers of that looks beautiful. And because Michaels usually has a 40% off coupon, it's the cheapest you can get anywhere. And I was always like, that's the only reason I need to go there now. Well, today I went into Michaels and it is on clearance. And they're no longer stocking it. And I couldn't believe it, where I was so frustrated because I went, you literally had a line of products that I had to have spent $1,000, if not more, within the past 3 years on supplies, mostly just to have them because you kept putting them on clearance. And now I have no reason to go into Michaels at all. There's no product in there that I need. I had EVA foam, it went on clearance. Foam dowels, clearance. Warbler, clearance. Lights, clearance. FX paint, clearance. Barge cement, clearance. Plastidip, clearance. You had a fandom out there that buys this stuff on the regular, and you were pretty much one of the best located places, because there's at least one in almost every city, if not more. I've got 4 within driving distance. And now I have no reason to go into your store. And it's just frustrating because you brought the line in just before a pandemic, which you couldn't plan, and you took it out without giving it the proper time to actually get sales. And it's frustrating for a cosplayer because now I have to go. I thankfully have a good stock of EVA foam, paint, and all that stuff. But now I really got to watch what I build. I really got to make sure not to waste product, because now trying to find it is a pain in the butt. We recently, I want to say recently, was like 3 months ago, went down to the States, and their Michaels has some of the stuff in stock, mostly the EVA foam, which is the most important because that's what a lot of my stuff is based off of. But that was so frustrating to have a store do so well with their stock when it first came out. And not everything's going to sell. 100% get that. Lights and stuff like that. All right, I'll admit the lights they had were garbage. I bought 2 of them when they were on clearance for $2. They're not even worth $2. They're crap. But something like foam, barge cement, and just going, it's not worth it, gone during a pandemic is just frustrating. So, I used to get every grandparent, parent give me gift cards. I don't need any gift cards anymore. I'm very rarely going to step foot in a Michaels because there's nothing I need. And I'm just a little frustrated and a little bitter because now I got to go searching for my stock. And it's a little bit of a pain in the butt because I could literally, if I wanted to, walk 15 minutes that way and I could pick up the stuff I needed. And now I got to search. So first world problem, I'm well aware. But so that's my little rant for today. I'm not too thrilled with Michaels, but there's worse things in the world. I will survive. We're just going to do in our sponsor quickly, and then we're going to jump into the main event, which is talking about volunteering. Sponsors, as always, for those who are new to the show, I always have one sponsor until someone gives me money. But right now I only have one sponsor, and that sponsor is my wife. My wife is the love of my life. I would not be here doing this without her support. I would not have the guts to try this. She's the first one to stand behind me and say, try it, because you never know what's going to happen. And look at me now, 10 episodes in, I've been doing Monday Night Nerd, and I couldn't do without you. Hun, I love you. Thank you for everything. By the way, if anybody ever wants to sponsor me, send me a couple bucks. I will gladly talk about your business. Michaels, you want to sponsor? I would love for you to sponsor me. That's the only reason I'm going to go back in your store. Anyway, sorry, I'm bitter. Main event time. Let's talk about the main event. We're going to talk about volunteering. Let's talk about the fun of volunteering. I'm rocking my Niagara Falls Comic-Con volunteer shirt. Now, how did I get started on volunteering? I got started in volunteering the same way every single person can, and that is I applied. So, for those who don't know, I was going to Fan Expo Canada since 2009. I've gone every single year, and it has been an absolute blast. However, Fan Expo Canada is the biggest roller coaster. It is almost 100,000 people, if not more than 100,000 people every single year. And every major celebrity is there, but there are so many other little conventions around me. There is Hamilton, Niagara, London, Anime North. Throw a rock, you can hit a Comic Con. And I wanted to visit them, but when it comes to everyone has an admission, everybody, you gotta, there's stuff that you have to do. And I spent all my time at Fan Expo. I didn't really want to spend, $50 every weekend going to all these cons. So I went, look, I'm going to find the two biggest ones that are not Fan Expo and I'm going to volunteer. And the first one I did was Hamilton Comic Con, my local convention. And I had visited Hamilton Comic Con the year before I started, and that was 2014, if I remember correctly. 2014? Yeah, 2014. And it's a great convention. Great convention. At the time, it was downtown at the Hamilton Place Convention Center. It was 3 floors on top of each other with escalators, and it was a cool little con. We had a blast there. But like I said, with Fan Expo, at the time, it was only 3 days. Now it's 4. And you had a hotel and you had tons of stuff. It's 2 giant buildings. With Hamilton Comic Con, you could kind of do the con in a day. And it was fun, but I, again, didn't want to pay for admission. So the next year I went, well, I want to go. How about I volunteer? This way I can go to the convention, I can work a shift, and then I can kind of enjoy the convention after. But here's the problem. I sometimes have anxiety. I'll be completely honest. Sometimes I have anxiety. And I'm the type of person, when I want to do something, I'm always the one who will either watch someone do it first or have someone do it with me. So I'll get a friend to do it with me. And then after we do it once, I'm cool. I'll do it by myself after that. No problem all the time. Everything's great. But this was the first time I was doing something like this on my own. And I was like, oh no, this is all on me. So I signed up and I just said, do whatever I want, whatever you want to put me, wherever you want to, do you want me to do this? You want me to work doors? I don't care. And they said, okay, come on down. You're going to come down the Saturday. You're going to be here first thing in the morning. We're going to set you up. We're going to get you in there. You're going to have some fun. And then you're going to go enjoy the convention. I'm like, cool, love it. And I only signed up for 1 day because I went, if I don't like it, I can run away like a chicken. So that morning came and I was worried because this is a whole bunch of new people. And, I might be confident on here yakking with you guys because you're not really in the room. Doing it in person, it's a little different. I'm not bad on stage doing a cosplay, but, doing this by myself, it's a little nerve-wracking. So I had about a 15-20 minute bus ride down from where I was living at the time, just worried about what was going to happen because I don't know these people. Am I going to be accepted? Are they all going to look at me and go like, you're a nerd? I thought that. Get down there and I walk in the door, meet the lovely young lady there, and she introduces me to the head of the volunteers, and she is lovely. She has the same last name as me, which is perfect. And she said, you're going to work with this fellow here. He's going to be helping you out. His name was also Mike. Mike, if you see this, shout out to you. And she said, you guys are going to be working security on the main stage. And I went, security on the main stage? She said, yep, you're just going to sort of hang around on the main stage during the Q&As. And you're just going to make sure, nobody rushes the stage or anything. And I'm like, you think I'm going to try and stop them? Do I look like I could stop them? But that was my job. And I said, okay, I think I can handle that. Like, that doesn't sound like a big deal. So we went up to the floor and we stood up and I went, whoa, I didn't even dawn on me till I got there. I get to listen to all the Q&As. This is cool. So we sat there. We listened to a couple Q&As. I'm trying to think. The big one, Hamilton Comic Con does a wrestling reunion, so there was a lot of the wrestlers there, and I'm a big wrestling fan, so they were all there doing a Q&A, and I got to be basically front row listening to them, and it was a blast. And then we got done pretty early because somebody canceled, and this is going back to who was the worst celebrity. Um, all the ones that I worked with, I can't say anything bad about them. They were all pretty cool. There was a individual, I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm going to let you figure out who it is. There was a dwarf actor who is no longer with us. I believe the proper term is dwarf. If it isn't, I apologize. Who is no longer with us, who is in 3 movies, a trilogy of movies, who might have an association with my name. I'll let you put 2 and 2 together on who that is. And we had heard through the grapevine that person was not able to come up due to having one too many drinks, which kind of frustrated me, because not that I was a big fan of his and I wanted to say hi to him and all that, but just, you don't do that, in my opinion. Like, you're a guest, don't overdo it, right? Like, I think that's kind of simple. So that was supposed to be the last Q&A, and they said, we can't, you're done early. What do you want to do? And I said, well, walk around the convention, I guess. So I walked around a bit, came back, and Mike was still at the stage, and I went, well, I got nothing else to do. And somebody came up and said, are you free? And I said, yeah, we're done all the stage stuff. What do you need? And they said, do you want to work one of the celebrity lines? And I went, what's that? And they said, well, celebrities at the table, there's a line. You're going to be the person in between the celebrity and the line. I went, oh, okay. Who's the celebrity? And they said, Ric Flair. And I went, Nature Boy Ric Flair? And they said, yeah. And I went, okay. Yeah, where is he? And I couldn't believe it. My first celebrity line is going to be Ric Flair. Holy crap. So I walk up, and he's got a huge line, and I'm working the line and just making sure everybody gets up there and making sure people don't get too close. And it's pretty standard fare. Had no issues. And he's done for the day, and he walks up and he says, thank you for helping. He sticks his hand up to shake my hand. And I almost passed out. And I stuck my hand out and I said, thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate you coming. Thank you for letting me do this. He said, no problem. Patted me on the shoulder and took off. Oh, I met Ric Flair. And that was the beginning of it. That was my first convention. And it didn't stop there. I said goodnight to Mike. It was the end of the night. And I said goodbye to a friend of his. And I went home. And we were up. I was up maybe, like I said, 15, 20 minutes away from the convention. And I got a phone call. And he said, where are you? I said, I'm at home. Convention's over. They said, you want to come back down? And I went, for what? The convention's over. They said, well, a few of us are across the street at the hotel bar, and a few of the celebrities are here. Do you want to come hang out? Well, by the time I read that, I had my shoes on and my coat on, and I was running out the door to get in the bus. Get down there, and I walk into the hotel bar, and a couple of the wrestlers are there. Larry Thomas is there, the soup Nazi from Seinfeld, and Sam Jones, Flash Gordon, is there, and a few of the volunteers. And I'm sitting there going, holy crap, this is cool. And we just start chit-chatting like we all know each other. And we're talking to them. They're talking to us about what's like volunteering. And Larry Thomas, the soup Nazi from Seinfeld, said something that will always stick with me. And that was, we asked him, he's known for one thing, no sufrio. And it's an infamous line that everyone knows. And we said, you got to, if you're known for one thing, that's all you hear over and over and over and over again. And we said, do you get tired of it? And he said, no. Why would I get tired of it? He said, well, you hear it on repeat over and over. He said, there's a billion actors out there who are known for nothing. And I get to be known for one thing. I did one role and I'm now known internationally for it. I couldn't be happier. I don't need to work another day if I don't want to because I'm known for that one line. And that was the best answer you could give, because that is exactly the type of person that Larry is. And I hopefully get to meet him again, because that is, it just stuck with me. It's such a good line. And the rest of the celebs were great. Everybody later in the night started going to bed, heading out. Some of them are leaving for the night. Some of them were staying the night to leave the next morning. And volunteers ended up leaving. And at the end of the night, I'm sitting at the hotel bar with Sam Jones, Flash Gordon to my left, and the soup Nazi, Larry Thomas, to my right. And we're watching the Dallas Cowboys game on one TV and a boxing match on the other TV. And I'm sitting there looking to my left, looking to my right, going, this is real. This is cool. It's never happened since, but that was a heck of a time to start volunteering. And that made me go, okay, this is cool. And it's never going to be a guarantee that something like that is going to happen. So if you've never volunteered or you just started volunteering, don't think that what I'm saying tonight is the way it goes. Like, I'm lucky this happened. There were many interactions and things that put me in a position where this happened. Doesn't mean it's going to happen for everybody. And even depending on the convention, I volunteer at Anime North. I don't work lines at Anime North. I work the audio video crew with my wife and her friends. Hamilton and Niagara have their own nucleus of volunteers. Toronto Comic Con in Niagara Falls, some Hamilton and Niagara people, most Hamilton Niagara Falls Hamilton people, work Toronto and Fan Expo, but not everybody. That's a different world. And I learned that next year when I applied to work Toronto Comic Con. Actually, no, let me take that back. It wasn't the next year, 2 years later, because I ended up working Hamilton Niagara again. It was a lot of fun. And then I said, well, this is great. I'm going to move up and I'm going to work Toronto Comic Con. And it was like I said, it was a different beast. The people who knew me at Niagara and Hamilton didn't know me, came over, but they had a different bunch of leaders for Fan Expo and Toronto Comic Con. So I couldn't use the same, like, hey, remember me, to, I don't want to say get placed in the right positions, but I was a rookie at Toronto Comic Con, even though I had experience. And this story is going to be answering one of the questions that came in late that I was going to answer later, but I'll do it now. What's the worst volunteering experience? And it was Toronto Comic Con. It is partially my fault because I expected to be treated the same way as I did at a different convention, which was stupid of me. That was a rookie move. Because when I started volunteering at Toronto Comic Con a couple years later, during the interview process, they ask you, do you have any experience? I said, yes, I've worked these 3 conventions. What have you worked? I've worked Celebrity Lines. And they said, perfect. Good to know. And they threw me on the stairs. And my job was basically pointing people down the escalator saying the convention's that way all day. And I got frustrated because that's not what I had signed up for. And I actually I think I ended up leaving early because I was just so frustrated because I wasn't having fun. I wasn't with people I knew. I was standing by myself on an escalator. Kind of boring to me. And I learned after that if you're going to go to a different con or you're going to change positions, you're going to pretty much go down to level 1 again. You know, if you've ever gone to a Comic-Con, you know that there are people who are with the celebrities behind the table. They're usually the ones that you give the money to, and then you take a step over and you meet the celebrity. Well, sometimes that person is a volunteer. Sometimes that person is a representative of the celebrity. It could be either or. There is a special group of people who have worked behind the table with the celebrities, and they do an amazing job. I have been asked a couple times if I wanted to do that. But I know that if I do that, I might be put in an awkward position. And I'm not the greatest with small talk. I'm either going to do one of two things. If I don't know the person and I don't know their work, it's going to be hard for me to drum up a conversation randomly. Like, hey, how's the weather out there? Or I'm going to be Chris Farley from SNL, where I'm going to be looking at them going, remember when you did that movie? Remember you won that, you remember that you won that world title in 1999? Like, I'm either going to be an uber nerd or I'm going to have no idea what to say. So I don't want to. I like where I am, and that is still that line position. It's fun. I'd like working with the celebrities when I can. And that's another thing. If you ever are going to volunteer and you think it's a good idea and it's a great time, you might not get placed in the position you want if it's your first couple years. You also don't think that we're there to have fun with the celebrities. Not our job. Our job is to make sure that the fans and the celebrities have a good time and make sure everything flows. We are not there to sit there and talk to the celebrities. We are not there to ask for free autographs. We're working just like the celebrity. And, there have been times where there's been times when I've had to work with some celebrities that, like I said, I don't have great interactions with them because I'm not a big fan of theirs. But that's the benefit of being on this side of the table and not behind with them, is if I don't really want to talk to them, I don't have to. If I get an opportunity, great. If I know them, but it's not part of the job description. And one of the best interactions that I did have, and was probably one of the nicest out there, was Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca from Star Wars. Now, I am a Star Wars fan. I'm not a big fan. Don't ask me to recount every single detail of every single movie, book, comic, video game. But I get the premise, and I'm a fan of the main characters. And meeting him was one that it was cool because, again, I'm a fan. But when I really saw how he interacted with the fans and how loving he was and how nice he was, and this was the last convention he did in Canada before he passed away, he was so gentle and so kind. And he made me a bigger fan of him because of how nice he was. One of the stories I like telling is there was some miscommunication with the convention and the guy who was representing him. And it was the end of the convention, and he was getting ready to pack things up, but he had a Q&A before he left. He was going to do the Q&A, come back for about 5-10 minutes, get the last couple autographs he had to do, and then he was going to leave. And I said, cool, like, go do the Q&A. And he came back. He was in a wheelchair at the time. I can't remember how long Peter had been in a wheelchair, but he was in a wheelchair at the time. And the representative took him to the back and took him over to the Q&A section, and he came back. And he looked a little frustrated. And I said, "Everything okay?" He said, "They changed it." And I went, "They changed it? What did they change?" And they said, "Well, it's no longer Q&A." I said, "Oh, what is it?" He goes, "Well, it's a Princess Leia cosplay competition, and Peter's the judge." And I went, "Oh, that's a change." And he said, "Yeah, I'm not too happy with that." And I said, "Well, how's Peter with it?" He said, "Peter's good with it." I said, "Okay, good to hear." And he said, "We're going to go take care of it, and then we're going to come back." I said, "Okay." Goes a few minutes later, I'm going to say probably 15, 20 minutes later, an individual comes up, and she's dressed as, let me remember, Return of the Jedi Leia from when she's riding the scout bike in the green with the hat. And she said, "Is Peter coming back?" I said, from what I know, he's coming back for 5 minutes." And she said, "Okay." And she said, "Well, I'm going to wait." I said, "No problem. Cool." And then the handler came back and he said, "Okay, we're done." And I said, "What do you mean we're done?" He said, "Peter's done. Nobody's really here. We're going to take off." And I said, "Well, this lady's here. She kind of wants to meet him." And his eyes went wide. And I said, "Everything okay?" He goes, "Oh no." I said, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Peter was the winner of the costume contest, got to meet Peter and got an autograph and a photo." And I said, "Well, there's your winner. Where's Peter?" And she said, "All right, I'll go get him." And he goes sprinting back. And Peter comes out, not disheveled, not upset, so happy to meet her. Got a picture with him, gave him a big hug, signed a couple photos for her, and she left so happy. When he really, I could tell he wasn't feeling it, but he put on a brave face and a good face for her. And the representative left and they were gone for the day. And actually the representative came back just to pick up some stuff. And he said, oh my God, like you didn't ask for anything. You didn't ask for an autograph or anything for working the table. I said, "Well, not supposed to." And I said, "And it's, if you were going to give one, I'd be more than happy to take it, but I'm not supposed to ask. I'm not going to ask." He said, "Oh, I so would have." And I said, "But look at this way. I got to spend the weekend with Peter Mayhew and watch him pretty much have a smile on his face the whole weekend. I don't need a piece of paper with some writing on it to keep that memory." And he said, "Well, whenever we come back, you were a great guy. You make sure to let us know. We'll give you something next time." I said, "No problem. I will be happy to talk to you when you come back." And Peter never came back, which sucks because if anything, I would have liked to have said goodbye to him, and I really didn't get a chance because he was kind of in a rush at the end. But yeah, Peter Mayhew was one that stands out to me because just you could tell he was getting old. You could tell he was sore, but he always had a smile on his face. And he was happy to meet every single person. Now on to an embarrassing one. Now, I'm pretty cool, calm, and collected when meeting these celebrities. I was a little nervous at first because, these are people that I grew up on. Meeting somebody like a Jason David Frank, who, for those who don't know, is the Green Ranger and the White Ranger from Power Rangers, who we will do a whole episode on at some point of how much I love and miss him dearly. He was my childhood icon. So meeting him and working that line was just, oh. But after the first 2 or 3 conventions, you kind of go like, "Oh, these are just people." Like when you see your favorite celebrity on a movie screen or on a television screen, it feels they have that celebrity to them. When you see them sit behind a table signing autographs for people, you realize that they are just people and they're just a normal person who does a really cool job. And it sort of takes that celebrity out of it, which is really good because then you don't act like an idiot when you meet them. I am not shaming anybody who does because this guy did. I am a giant wrestling fan. I've been a giant wrestling fan since I was a kid. And my childhood crush was Trish Stratus. And hell, my adult crush is Trish Stratus. And she was at a convention. She was at Niagara Falls 2018, I believe. And I went, I've always wanted to meet her. I have to meet her. And again, I am usually cool, calm, and collected meeting anybody. But man, did I get tongue-tied with her. I walked up and I fumbled every freaking thing. I couldn't talk. The person who was helping with her knew me, so they brought up my name. So she went, "Oh my God, your name's Michael Myers." And I went, "Yeah, yeah. And you want to see my ID?" And she's like, "No, it's okay." And I'm just like, "I'm an idiot. Can we go back 5 minutes so I can do this again?" And yeah, and everyone saw it, and I could tell people were giggling because again, I'm usually pretty cool, calm, and collected with this stuff, but she was just one that I can't talk and I just don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, I everybody does it with that one person, and Trish was mine, and she is going to be at the convention at Niagara Falls this year, and I'm going to do my best to not do that again because I'm a big boy and I don't get tongue tied over to pretty girls. Anyways, but for those out there who want to volunteer, give it a shot. I mean, really, if you got a local convention, we can always use the hands. We can always use people. It's a fun time. Like it really is. Like we all have a blast. The group of people that I met from the conventions are like a second family to me now. Like I honestly I don't know who I would be without them. Like we had, I met a couple when I first started, and then about 3 years in, there was, I want to say, sort of the people that all sort of work the same position I do. And they sort of took me under their wing and we all hung out the one night, and it was just like, dude, these are the coolest people I've ever met. Like I love these people. They're so fun. And when the pandemic hit, that kind of canceled all of our, the only time we would always meet is at conventions. We weren't really seeing each other outside of conventions. So we'd see each other, but only like 3-4 times a year. And when the pandemic hit, I can't remember exactly which one, but one of them said, we should get together and do a Zoom chat. Cause I think one of the conventions was coming up. I think it was Toronto Comic-Con. And we said, sure, we'll all get together and we'll do a Zoom chat. And that sort of became a regular experience where every couple weeks we'd get together and do a Zoom chat. And we learned a lot about each other and we kind of became closer friends because of it. And now we see each other almost probably once a month, if not more. And it's amazing. Like I truly, they know it because I've told them a million times, but like, I can't say thank you enough to them for, how generous they've been with their time, their affection, their patience. It really means hell. One of them gave me this setup for this podcast. So if it wasn't for them, this would not be happening. So, if you're worried about meeting people and you're worried about going to a convention and being scared of these are scary people who you don't know, you will probably never meet a more accepting group anywhere. And that's to say that we don't agree on everything when it comes to fandom. 100%. Like, there's a couple of us who love books. There's a couple of us who are movie people. There's a couple of people who are wrestling people. We're not all the same fandoms either. So, if you think like, well, they all have to like the same thing. No, 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 no. Not even close. There's one person who hates Green Lantern, and I wish she would change her mind, but I'm never going to get her to change. Meg, I'm talking to you. But that's a side point. But yeah, just try it. Just volunteer. Give it a shot. What do you got to lose? Really? What do you got to lose? You get a free t-shirt. I can guarantee you that. You get a free t-shirt. So that's volunteering. We're probably going to do another episode sooner or later talking about more fun stories, but that's kind of all I have for today. Let's do a few Q&As and then we will get out of here. One of them came in when I mentioned the topic. Someone I can't even remember who it was, mentioned, you should bring this up because it is sort of a misnomer out there if you do volunteer. Do we get free autographs because we work, at the front with the celebrities? No. I cannot stress enough. No. You are not guaranteed or given, you don't get free autographs. It's not part of the job. If the celebrity offers it, no problem. We do not ask. If you are volunteering, please do not go up to a celebrity and ask for an autograph for free. It looks so bad on you. It looks so bad on the rest of us. Again, if they offer, great. No problem. But no, we do not get free autographs. That was actually something I was taught very early, and that is, if you go up to a celebrity and you are wearing a volunteer shirt, which you shouldn't do in the first place, but sometimes it has to happen, be ready to pay. And if the celebrity sees that you have volunteered or you are, they've seen you around volunteering and he offers, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry. Great. But be ready to pay because that's just the way it works. Okay. But yes, we do not get free autographs. The other question I mentioned earlier was, what was the worst volunteering experience? And that was Toronto Comic-Con. Again, my fault. I shouldn't have been, stupid rookie and assumed that everything was going to go in my favor because I had experience. My fault. But still, it was the worst. Nicest celeb. The nicest celebrity. If it's not Peter Mayhew, it is Mick Foley. Mick Foley, if you're a wrestling fan, you know how nice he is. If you're not a wrestling fan, you don't know how nice he is. And if you go to a convention, you will see how nice he is. That guy does so much for his fans. For those who aren't wrestling fans, Mick Foley, also known as Mankind, also known as Dude Love, also known as Cactus Jack, has 3 main characters he's played in his wrestling career. And he has no problem bringing props, masks, or attire to the convention of all 3 characters and will, on request, change little parts of his outfit to fit each character if a fan wants a photo with one of them. Like, you don't get that extra little bit. Like, Cactus Jack, for example, loved big bloody brawls with barbed wire, baseball bats and stuff. And when he was at Hamilton Comic-Con, this was at the height of Negan from Walking Dead, who uses a barbed wire baseball bat. And we were there and somebody mentioned like, oh, do you have one with you? He said, no, I don't. And he said, but I'll do you one better. And he pulls out some money and he hands it to the guy. He said, you go get a barbed wire base, like go find a stall that's selling it, buy it, bring it back here. I'm going to use it for the day. And then at the end, I'm going to sign it and give it to you. You don't do that. Like, no celebrity does that little bit extra. And I've got videos of him singing songs to kids. I've got him doing Santa letters because he's a big Santa fan. Like, Mick Foley is the best. And I can't say a bad word about him. And I don't think anybody else has. I think he's one of those guys that, again, if you're a wrestling fan, you know him well. If you're not a wrestling fan, you don't know him well. But I bet you if you ask any other celebrity at their table if they know who Mick Foley is, they will all say yes, and they will be excited to go say hi to Mick because everybody seems to like him because they've seen him at many different conventions, and he's always a dream to work with. So Mick Foley, hands down, best and amazing with me when I got to work his line a few years ago. Like, just a sweetheart. That is the episode for tonight. We're at 56 minutes, 55 minutes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. It has been a pleasure to talk about volunteering. Again, if you want to volunteer, please volunteer. We're always looking for people. Check your local convention. There's probably a volunteer section somewhere. Put in your name, put in your information, and come out to these conventions. We can always use the people. Next week is, I believe we're getting close to May 1st. Don't know exactly what the topic is going to be. We might go a little deep dive onto a specific topic. You know what? We might even do the Jason David Frank episode because I know this weekend coming up, I'm going to be watching the new Power Rangers special that is on Netflix. So we will probably be reviewing that on that day. So maybe we'll talk about Jason David Frank. Maybe we'll talk about something else. I'll put it up on my social media in the next few days. But again, thank you everybody for tuning in. My name is Myers Corp Creations. I hope you had a good night. Have a good week, and I will see you next week. See ya.